Alex here with a high conflict child custody video on abstract and instance. I've seen it in a few videos that I've watched on YouTube, specifically hearing videos where an abusive person is on the stand or an abusive person is asking questions of a witness. And I've also heard about this in stories from people who've asked me for advice and stuff. And it's just a trend, or I guess you could call it a technique or a tactic or a trick or whatever, that I've seen abusers use that I just wanted to let people know about so they don't really get sucked into it. What I've seen is this: when they can rely on some specific instance to twist the truth into their favor or manipulate you into doing something or get a specific answer out of you, they'll rely on that specific incident, that specific occurrence, whatever it may have been. But when it doesn't serve their interests, when they have done something that's insane, something ludicrous, something abusive, violent, threatened you, and they're put up against the wall, they'll fall back on abstract principles. And what I mean by that is they'll say things, or they'll ask questions like, yeah, maybe I did A, B, and C to you, or maybe I did D, E, and F to the kids and it hurt them, but don't you think every kid should have a father in their lives? You know, don't you think that I should have, some time with my kids? Don't you think, they'll fall back on these abstract ideas, these things that apply in a general sense, in an overarching, abstract principle type of way to, I don't even want to use the word justify, more so to distract you. Because, I mean, you can't justify your conduct by bringing up abstract principles. You have to address your conduct. You have to address what you've done and explain it to the court. But over and over again, I've seen 4 or 5 different videos, and they all do the same thing. They don't address their conduct. They don't explain what they've done. They don't atone for their sins. Instead, they try to distract you, to deflect the attention off of them by saying things like what I just mentioned. Every father should be involved in his child's life, every, or trying to sort of corner you into looking bad by saying, do you think, don't you think that kids should get time with both parents? Things like that. And sometimes people get frustrated. Sometimes people get tricked. And just what I wanted to bring up in this video is to just notice that, pay attention to that. And when that's thrown in your face, you could say, yeah, I think that's generally the idea, but it doesn't apply in this case. Yeah, I do think kids should spend time with both parents. Yeah, I do think fathers should get to see their children. But that's a general idea. Specific to this case, we have an exception here. This is an exception to the rule. And the reason that we have an exception is because of A, B, and C that you've done to me, and D, E, and F that you've done to the kids. They're not going to like that. And in fact, don't do that just between you and them, because you're just not going to get anywhere. But do that in the context of a court dispute, at a hearing, when you're testifying, when you're asking questions, or in a motion. You can bring this kind of logic up because it makes sense to the court, and the court understands what's going on. But, the last thing people need to do is feel like they have to say, no, it's okay what you've done. You're right. Fathers should get to spend time with their kids. Therefore, you should too. Don't let these things get blurred together, mixed together. Abstract principles apply in an abstract sense. It explains a general policy. But to every general policy, there are exceptions to the rule. And those exceptions come up in specific instances. And, going back to what I said earlier, it's not so much that they're trying to justify what they've done. They're just trying to distract you with this question on, it's like when the target is on them, they need to pull it off and make it more about, they need to make the issue bigger than them. They need to make the issue about, an overarching policy. And, there's no other way for me to say it other than they're just trying to just distract you and deflect what's going on. So hopefully if people can give me some feedback on whether or not this is something that's happened to them in the past. It is something that happened to me all the time. All the time. And at hearings, and when I was being questioned, and I would just say, well, at first I didn't really know how to answer it, because when you're presented with a question like, do you want to take a mother's child away from her, because I did get that one. Do you think it's okay to take a mother's child away from her? You know, and it's like, oh my God, I don't want to say yes because I don't want to look bad. But if I say no, then how am I going to go and explain what I'm trying to do right now? But it's the court understood what she was doing, and they helped me through that process. But later on, I realized I could have just said no. I think no mother should have her child taken away from her, in the general sense for no reason. But in certain cases, there are exceptions. Are they rare? Yes. But do they happen? Yes. And is it happening in this case? Yes. And here's why. What it comes down to is they don't want to address what they've done. They know it's unforgivable, and they can't defend it. So they need to just come up with some abstract idea and get you to agree to it, and then say, well, that applies to me too, because I'm a mother and you're trying to take my kid away. So stop. And that's what happened. That's how it went, and it didn't work. If anyone's been following my videos, I ultimately got primary, physical, sole legal custody, and then not long later terminated her parental rights. So it didn't work. It was a farce, and then the court saw right through it. So with that, hopefully this video offers some encouragement for how to deal with that kind of inane thinking, because it is inane. And with that, I'll see you guys next time.